Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting, innovating, and amazing Propagandacast with me, host and Pearl Dane, the one, the only Master Propaganda Hero Psych Defender of the Fatherland, off here to glorious 1v1 on Twin Beaches. Again, in the north it is Stephenn, fighting here for America, Freedom, Democracy. Taking on the role here of the 3rd Infantry Division. The south stands Fortune. Yes, indeed, that Fortune, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland. Here with the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division. And a triple Pioneer Star. That is a very unusual opening here from the Wehrmacht. There's a more standard rifle start here from Stephenn. I suppose Stephenn could prove me wrong any moment now. Any moment now. MD Footage as well here for Fortune. As always, a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters who help keep the Propagandacast running through every week and year or day of the year. So big thanks to all those wonderful people. Other people in the ranks pledge on Patreon themselves. And also a big thanks to maybe me for donating and support the Propagandacast with his hard-earned money. So, in the south, Pioneers moving forwards here for the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division. 6th Panzer Grenadier Company. Scouts up north. Stephenn's right now on the way. And engineers. And we got an MU-42 out here for Fortune. So he's definitely looking to grab a lot of territory in the early game. We're just going for a lot of Pioneers. Then backing that with the MU-42. It does beg the question what his plan is. I already feel like it means he's going to go for Mechanized, because otherwise he's not going to be going for any Assault Grenadiers nor any Falchion Pioneers. So it feels like he's more like to lean into Mechanized then. Machine gun sandbags here with the northern field point. Pioneers following up there as well. Scouts leading the way there for the 3rd Infantry Division, as Rifle moving up there with their M1 Garands. Machine gun could perhaps stand be a bit closer to support the Pioneers, but then again, this could be a nice bait here by Fortune to draw in the Scouts and the Riflemen into the MD-42, and then hunt them down here with the Bone Saw, as was known amongst other things. The MD-42 had a lot of nicknames. The Bone Saw, it was also known as Hitler's Violin, mostly by the Germans. They had a nickname thing for naming things after musical instruments for some reason. Pioneers, they need to retreat. And low and healthy, and remember, Pioneers die pretty fast. We got Scout upgrade here as well for him, flaring off in the MU-42. Pioneers, nearly avoiding there getting wiped out. Of course, with smoke flares, that also means smoke, so he's going to retreat the machine gun, as well as Stephen's just going to run down the machine gun, maybe grenaded. 2nd MD-42 team here from Stephenn. Very unorthodox opening, and now to make it even more unorthodox, to get the infantry officer quarters. Not a bad upgrade, by the way, but it's just so rare to see a Valorant player go for this, in particular this early on here. So, I mean, Fortune is absolutely not playing this by the meta handbook, if there is one at the moment. Need to retreat the machine gun here. The L1 set up with the smoke in there. Go veterans want to achieve to that. Also, by means, his Pioneers can grab territory fast. They also become overall a bit better, though. Even with the veterans you won, they're still Wehrmacht Pioneers, which technically, you know, are some of the division's best troops, both infantry or whatever, but in game, not so much. So, MD-42 routed here. We got medics over there on the way for Fortune, but yeah, very fast officer quarterly for the very fast veterans 1, and just 2 MD-42s, 3 Pioneers. Highly unorthodox and unusual, but again, very interesting. Meanwhile, Stephenn here with engineers saying suffers to the Pioneers see, and he's just going for more Riflemen, more GIs. Very much as anticipated, these Pioneers need to retreat before they get murdered out here. There's simply too many Americans about, and not enough Germans. So, of course, the question does become, what is Fortune's next plan? We're not seeing any infantry as of yet. We're not seeing any tech. Admittedly, he's a bit short on field for that. So, there are a lot of questions here to be answered by Fortune as he goes in brave, bold, and new directions for the Wehrmacht. Rascal and Fortune's a heavy cover against MD-42 there. MD-42's going to have a bad time unless they get some support here. Out in the open, the MD-42 team is quite exposed. Team of veterans who won bonuses. That is not quite going to be enough here. Got a second Rascal Rhyme. Do have the first one they're supporting here. But yeah, that machine crew needs to get out. There's just down to 1 man. The others are either dead or dying on the hard concrete. This little beach town. Pioneers pushing around the south here. Scout Pioneers south with a flamethrower routed at the engineers, who decided they did not wish to tangle with those. And of course, we got Indeed here with a mortar now response here to the German machine guns. Bringing a mortar, I think, is a very solid idea there, Stephenn, so thumbs up. And we got Fortune here with the Luftwaffe Company. Very much also anticipated. But not be surprised if I guess we're just going to get a lot of flamethrowers here for Fortune, since, I mean, if you're going to go that hard on the Pioneers and fast stretch into one, you're probably looking for some flamethrower action here to at least somewhat make them better. A bit more punchy here. But the mortar is going to have a challenge here to Fortune and the German army. South here, Pioneers cram up. He could lay down some sandbags if he wanted to. But I guess that is not probably in Fortune's prerogative or interests. Of course, if he's going to focus so much on flamethrowers, I don't think he's going to go for any mines anytime soon. We do like to get some sandbags here. By the crater. Meanwhile, Stephenn here probing up in the north here, going right next to the German base. And we got here some aerial stuff going from Stephenn. Could be air reconnaissance, which would indicate, of course, he's going for the air support center. Yes, indeed, Stephenn. Probably the only player I'm aware of that ever actually builds an air support center. Every other USF player goes Mechanized or Infantry. Stephenn goes air support. So, and we got a 2-1 here from Fortune, a fairly rare unit within the Wehrmacht build orders. It certainly only adds to the uniqueness and idiosyncrasy here of Fortune's opening so far here in build order. So that's certainly going to add to the spiciness of it, but definitely also makes you think he's going to go mechanized, so you can actually use raid package on the armored car, both for the smoke, but also allows the armored car to help grab territory here for Fortune and the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division. Mortar team out in the open there being absolutely hosed and plastered, but MG42 fire there. 1200 rounds per minute. Sort of the official number. That said, it wasn't uncommon for the machine guns to be modified with a heavier bolt to slow down the rate of fire until something both a bit more manual, also less stressful on the gun. So, little fun fact there. He is routed. Almost got it wiped here. We got the 2-1 out here. I like to punch his spear wagon. And we got a straight run here from Stephenn on the Pioneers. Talk about overkill. Talk about overkill. Rouse squad caught it with the 2-1. And there we go, we do get the raid package. He could go for another one, he could go for the officer quarters, he also go for Jaegers. Obviously, plenty of paths here that Fortune could choose versus Stephenn. Meanwhile, has gone for the motor pool into Greyhound. So this is turning into a bit of a reconnaissance war here, possibly. And he's actually going for the radio antenna upgrade of that. Well then, this just keeps getting more and more interesting. We also got 2 flamethrowers out here for Fortune. No Jaegers, no anti-tank weapons. Not even a flat gun here so far. Meanwhile, Stephenn here and the 3rd Infantry Division waiting for the cavalry to arrive to hit the Germans a bit harder. Southern fuel point ceased, northern fueling grabbed as well. Here we got a mortar for Fortune, a Granatenwerfer of his very own. And now the Jaegers. Armored car there, upgraded with the radio antenna. Bit of reconnaissance. But there you go, got the ground pursuing it. Good shot there for the side armor. And I think there's a good chance that just as soon as he upgrades the 2-1 into the 2-3, he's going to lose it here. Yeah, he does pop smoke, but the problem is here for Fortune, there's not really a lot of places you can go with it and hope it to survive here, so that ends up being a lot. Oh, wow, he managed it. He somehow dodged it. Steamer doesn't, I think, have grenades researched. He's going for the mortar. Yep, no more grenades researched here, but yeah, he's then proceeds to go for the mortar. Losing the 2-3 here. Probably figured he didn't have a chance to survive with it. Up north here, Pioneers with Ralph squad. Also grab Northern Victory Point. Rather intense, if offbeat match here. Mortar rounds going through the roof there. Crashing in and just ruining everything. German mortar raid, and of course, thanks to the officer quarters, it is immediately Veterans 1, which opens up here for the recon flare ability. Yeah, it runs into the Greyhound, and of course, has to get the hell out of there. Jaegers moving up. But Fortune lacks the munitions for the Panther, meaning he has no significant way of actually knocking out the Greyhound anytime soon. He just has a fairly strong infantry unit there, but no way of dealing with the Greyhound. Like, one option would be to, of course, go for the flak 30 here, try and catch the Greyhound with that, and of course, plaster the Greyhound with a lot of 30 or 20mm rounds. So, grab Northern Victory Point here, Pioneers basically at it again. Keep in mind, of course, with Veterans 1, the Pioneers get fast capture. So that, of course, allows them to be quite good at running around and grabbing the map here. Fighting for the car point continues here as the 1st Infantry under Stephenn launch the assault forwards.
Sector now under enemy control.
North here, Pioneers. Just Rifle Squad need to retreat those Pioneers before the Riflemen just utterly extinguish them. Flak 30 almost done here. In the south, Jaegers, there was the Greyhound. We got smoke deployed there, interestingly enough. North here, Pioneers. Yeah, definitely forced retreat here. Low in health, and Veterans 1 there may just be the thing that helps them being wiped out, but that's about it. Meanwhile, we got the Flak 30 out here for Fortune and the German army. Which, of course, will later be upgraded to the Flak 38 with a gun ship and some other improvements, but was significantly less mobile. They still had wheels for it, but they actually, I believe, had to pick it off from the wheels for proper accuracy, and then mounted with that. And of course you had the further development with the Flak Feeling, which was also known as the Flak 38, confusingly enough. Ground heading northwards. Flak is going to rip those Riflemen to shreds, and there you go. Caught out in the open here. Stephen's infantry is very much met with a full saving private salute and sent running. Scout from the south, a good pressure power from Stephenn. He's good at sort of handling just good parts of the map. He doesn't get focused on one side of the map. Admittedly, neither does Fortune. So there you go, straight to the Flak and the MD42 here. Greyhound there, of course, not quite Flak 30 proof. And we got the American mortar getting pummeled by Fortune's mortar. Almost got it wiped out, in fact. And the mortar crew is down. Quite a blow here to Stephenn. I think the mortar itself got destroyed. That's a pretty good kill there for Fortune then. And certainly a bit more painful there for Stephenn. God damn it, where's the mortar? The mortar got destroyed, sir. Destroyed, goddamn Nazis. You know, we got BAs up there for Stephenn, of course, adding some more pressure on Fortune and his Flammable for Pioneer. He's going to need something, I think, a bit more heavy on the infantry side. He's going to need to pull for some Panzers. I mean, another option here would actually go for the either the Achtrad or the Stug Assault Group. I mean, the Stug Assault Group, besides the Stug D, would also provide him with a Panzer Grenadier squad, so it could arguably provide him with a fairly hand. Oh, and another wipe here from the German mortar. Good golly. That German mortar is proving to be a nightmare pretty rapidly here for Stephenn. We've got the Jaegers flanking around here, but versus barred up Riflemen with port on them. Fortune's Jaegers are very much forced to ground here. And into the nearby building here, but that building is about to collapse, so I think there's a good chance he's going to have to retreat that soon before the entire thing collapses here. I think Stephenn, fortunately, realizes that is not the place to be. Meanwhile, looks like the ground's going to flank here. The Flak 30, we've got the Jaeger squad here. That's a great hit here on the Flak 30, and there's a good chance of risk losing it here to Stephenn. Got the Rifle playing one side, ground the other here, and there you go. The Flak crew is utterly and mercilessly cut down here by Stephenn, leaving Fortune flakless. That one's for saving Private Ryan. We're arranging a movie? Yeah. Duh. And there you go. Looks like a strafing run here, or is it a bombing run from Stephenn?
Enemy forces have left our territory.
A dive bomb, I guess. Oh, it is the bomb. The bomb. And actually didn't take out the machine. That's surprisingly lucky. We got a Wirbelwind out here from Fortune. Looks like it is the 15th Panzergrenadier's Flak up talent that's been committed here to the fighting. Ripping through the retreating Americans here. No Stug D, no Achtrad. Straight to mine though with the Wirbelwind. Not good here for Fortune. Pretty great for Stephenn in the south. The German troops probing forwards here, but the Wirbelwind is getting flanked here with the Greyhound. It's going to need that Flak 30 crewed up fast here. There's a good... Oh, he goes hull down here, which should save his Wirbelwind here from being wrecked by the Greyhound. We got a round squad charging forward. We've got Incendium and Piston rounds, and the Flak crew of Pioneers as well here. And there you go, Rifleman getting absolutely hammered here with white phosphorus round, and he's just sent screaming back to base. Wirbelwind, though, has seen significantly better days. The engine's gone.
We've had our upgrade.
Tiger terror my ass. Those Panther jockeys knew how long it spent in the workshop. They'd never use them again.
That was a nice little line there from the Pioneers. Never heard that one before, but then still kind of early days. There's a lot of lines here. We got a Chaffee out there straight into the Flak gun, straight into the Panther Shreks and the Wirbelwind, which is still hold down. He's even popping focused fire here, exposing the rear of the Chaffee to the Wirbelwind and the Flak 30. Stephenn here is feeling pretty plucky. Almost losing the Chaffee here, as there's a light tank. They were not exactly heavily armored. Pioneers wiped out. Wirbelwind almost getting knocked out as well here. Panther straight misses the Greyhound, and the Greyhound gets away. The Wirbelwind still stands. The Chaffee moves up and pops the Wirbelwind. Turret flies into the sky here. Both Chaffee and Greyhound escape here with very little health, in particular the Chaffee. Chaffee's got 3 hit points left. The only thing that's keeping that one running is like just... I don't actually know what's keeping it running. Another people in here for fortune.
We have lost the sector.
Just floating points here. No Stug D's, no Wirbelwinds. Not Wirbelwinds, I mean Achterrads here. I do think a Stug D would be pretty good for him here. Partly because he just get more infantry here. But it seems like fortune... Oh, he did get the Chaffee at least, but it feels like he's trying to just rely on the Pioneers. His infantry's all lost 1 Pioneer squad. I don't think that's quite going to work out for fortune. I do think he's going to need some, well, infantry here. We'll see. Of course, the Stug D would delay the arrival of the Panther, and it may be that fortune is just, you know, dreaming of Panthers here, which you can't really fault him for. You know, for Stephenn, we got another mortar replaced 1 loss here to the Germans. The German 1 enemy model is getting close to 82. The Flak 30 there's being hauled back to the base for reinforcements. Another Wirbelwind out here for the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division. Ralph's going to the enemy 42, which is Vetchi 2 by the way. Rapidly suppressing the rifleman. Greyhound going for the Grenadier. Wirbelwind pushing force here. Attempting to rip into the Greyhound, but so far with limited results. That succeeded a bit better there. North here, MD42 was thinking easy, probing about. We got 288 versus 444 so far. Seemingly nicely with fortune. Yeah, we got the Achtrad. I mean, he could call 1 in, honestly. I think that'd be a pretty good idea here. I think that would certainly be cheaper than the Wirbelwind. In terms of fuel. Certainly packs Panther as infantry. I suppose you'd also go for a Armoured if he's really concerned about more light vehicles. Tanks out of Stephenn. Stephenn going for another M24 Chaffee. Got the flak gun there being hauled forwards. Wirbelwind machine gun taking northwards here. Southwest engineers continue to probe around there, but there you go. Fortune's having enough of that, sending into Pioneers so alongside the Wirbelwind to send those Yankees running up north here. Jaegers into a mine, and we got the American mortar back at it as the Germans. Meanwhile, Fortune is hauling in the Marder 3 Model M tank destroyer. Oh dear, Chaffee straight into the mine in front of the Flak 30, and there's a Wirbelwind nearby as well here. This could be a pretty horrific end here for Stephenn's second Chaffee. And he's even buttoning it here. Fortune is leaving nothing to chance here. Jaegers are about to get wiped out here. Getting more by mine fire and more crucial, or mine fire mines, and crucially rifle fire here. You're going for that Chaffee, but decides to back off here rather than push his luck here versus Stephenn. I think that's a very sensible idea here. Mortar by closing in 82, but needs to retreat me on south here. Ralph's called utterly mowed down here without mercy by Fortune before True Crew here. 11 kills, virtually 3. Hold down. We got the flak gun at Veteran C1. I was actually kind of expecting him to go on for Luftwaffe officer quarters, but he hasn't. There we go. We got the Marder 3 Model M. Last model in the Marder 3 series, and I think also overall the Marder series of the tank destroyers. Forward to here, closing in at T3. Those officer quarters upgrades really provide you with some significant boost to infantry gain, or veterancy gain as the Germans there. So if you're committing to like any structure like half decently, I could strongly recommend the officer quarters in, certainly with the amount of resources into the Luftwaffe quarters. But yeah, the Luftwaffe company, I do think an officer quarters here would be a very excellent idea as well for Fortune. Got the Marder ready here. 40 there, mounted on a Panzer 38T chassis, which was a Czechoslovakian tank chassis that the Germans would use quite a bit. Initially, the tanks themselves were used on both the Western and the Eastern Front. Apparently, some would even see rocket launchers mounted to the side of the Wurfrahmen, similar to, say, the Stuttgarter Fuss. But later on, they would start using them for other things like, you know, for some of the Marders, you had self-propelled artillery, the Grille, which I believe was also based off this chassis, fun fact. And of course, you had the infamous or famous Hetzer. amongst other things. There was even like a flak tank, the Flak Panther 38T. So it was a chassis that, you know, really saw a lot of usage, even as like the tank itself, like it was rather rapidly just, you know, rendered of less usage there. So fun facts. Up north here we got the Ralph doing for the Pioneers here. Those Pioneers will need to retreat. But yeah, he is absolutely going to go for a Panther here, though I still feel like, oh, he's gone for at least for another Jaeger squad. Very good. And there he goes, straight running in for those Pioneers. Black gun there blasting away a bit as well. They're closing in T2. Ace machine gun probably should be hauled back. There's low on health and... Wait, did he just... Yeah, Stephen's actually gone for a second mortar. Crikey, this is turning into a real mortar match. In the southwest, there we go. Martin assisting here, the Vibrant versus the Chaffee. Also got the Jaegers flanking up here with that Panther Shake. And that's going to be in here of Stephen's second Chaffee. Another blow here to the 3rd Infantry Division. And to report back here to headquarters that another Chaffee tank has been ruined. North here, Pioneers versus Route Squad. Little bit need repairs. Veterans 1. Moments away here from a Panther, the Panzerkampfwagen 5. Ausführung D. Bombardier here. They are making good use of the
Commandant, you have CPs
right there, and also Panther 6 in the second one. I feel like, you know, he might have wanted one with the G for the fleets as well, partly for the flares as well there, but also just the anti-infantry. By the way, though, Panther moments away here, and we got Stephenn with armor bomb. He's going for the EC8, which will sort of show, say, the last major model of the Sherman before the end of the war. They would still see some updates after the war into the Super Sherman, which had a 100mm gun. So Sherman running ahead here, but now, of course, Fortune can respond with the Panther. Sandbags being lined up here by the beaches. At least it's like they know where to get the sand. South here, mortar being attacked here, but then you see treat the mortar before it gets wiped out. We got the martyr moving forwards. Panthers over here for Fortune. We super column and other things. Jaeger's about to get wiped out of Fortune or Stephenn, but no, Fortune's Jaegers do find a bit of fortune there for them. Martyr pushing out here. Veterans C1. Coming up here for the first strike.
The enemy has claimed our sector.
And there we go. We got the Panther out here for Fortune and the German army. Deutschland. Pioneers pushing up through the center here. Mortar there being hauled out. I need to retreat the Pioneers before they get hauled back in body bags. Now up north here, they're going here for Fortune's Marder. He needs to retreat that one before it gets wrecked here. Already heavily damaged. Fortune is narrowly able to pull the Marder to safety. In the center, the Panther moves forwards, but with limited infantry support, I think will struggle a bit here. Decent shot there on the rifleman. Machine guns being hauled forwards. We got infantry, we got flak guns here at the ready. Using them to support the Panther could allow, I think, for a strong push up the center here against Stephenn. Stephenn's going to need some tank destroyers here, or more EC8s to really have a chance, I think, against the Panther, unless Fortune proceeds to misplay it. Model D there, earliest model, had some significant flaws, including one which was actually if the tank tipped at a certain angle, the engine would burst into flames because that used an aircraft engine, and for some reason it caused the fuel to go into the engine the wrong way, so it would catch on fire. It also actually had very slow turret rotation because it initially hand cranked. So it was definitely not the finest model of Panther, but it was a model on this active service until the end of the war. Good flanking these hit with a Panther straight for the rear. Using its high velocity semi-automatic gun. Another shot there. Easily punches through the sidearm of the Sherman. Pulling forward to the Panther here.
We have lost control of a victory point.
Infantry, Pioneers, flak guns to support here the Panther's advance. Raft on the flank here, Pioneers falling back. East of the machine gun definitely to retreat. This, by the way, his second veteran MG42 team. Then it's showing what you can do with MG42s if you put your mind to it. Thumbs up to Fortune there. Building holding forwards here. I'd still like to see the Luftwaffe quarters here for his veterans, his Luftwaffe units. Rival squad there about to charge up the hill into the waiting line to fire the Panther here.
Pioneer infantry killed.
Pioneers right, leaving Fortune with just one Pioneer squad. He definitely got any more Pioneers. I mean, he's got a Vivian Marder and a Panther. Like, just one Pioneer squad to repair all those things is inadvisable.
200 points.
And Tank called in the same. We got Jägersville with Fort 16. Thought he was in the open there in the safe, but he wasn't. Instead, we got the Jägersville before. The Jägers actually got a BAR. That's definitely dangerous news here for the anti-tank crew. And there you go, rip apart Jägers to the mind. We got E-Set pushing forwards here. Stephenn looking to salvage the crew of the anti-tank gun, but it is too late. They're already dead or running back towards base. Mortar land and the Jäger squad here. Panther pushing forwards here. Fortune, I think, could make a pretty good push here. Sees the carve point and nice Stephenn. A good amount of resources wrecking the anti-tank as well here, leaving Stephenn quite dangerously exposed. We got the tank depot and we got an M18 Hellcat on the way here for Stephenn. Freedom, democracy. Mortar still very close to 82, but just hasn't quite been able to get there. Black gun there, just add it. Then officer quarters. I'm guessing he's just focusing on bringing up another Panther, which, I mean, to be fair, is a fairly solid strategy. Fairly solid strategy.
We're getting better at this.
Got Rival squad pushing forwards here. Marder definitely needs to get out of there before he gets slammed with his anti-tank rifle or anti-tank grenades here. Mortar's Rival squad catching the Pioneers here. Mortar on the flank gun, need to get that out of there. Panther half attrition to 1. Machine gun there as the Rival squad. We got the Marder just firing away there. Panther moving in to assist. Anti-tank grenade on the Panther. Light bit of crew shock there in the centre here. Vivian just left his own device. We've got the Hellcat going for the kill here. Up north, Jäger's grabbing the point. He's going to need support in the centre though. Definitely a bit of a mistake with Fortune pushing the Vivian so far with limited support. Meanwhile, we got the EC-8 here versus the Panther. Anti-tank grenade again, the Panther. Stunning the crew once more up north. The Vivian has been forgotten. He could try and pop smoke and get out of there, but I think either way that Vivian is not going to make it back home. And that's the second Vivian down here for Fortune. Another great kill here for Stephenn. He also got spotting scopes here. But of course also gone for fuel seizure. But I suspect Fortune isn't quite feeling a fuel squeeze, and so isn't seeing the need to seize it. Which is why we can tell he's not American. M18 Norfolk's here. Pushing up to the hill and the fuel point there. Panther being fixed up.
Territory lost.
Get us moving.
Grabbing the points right next to his base there. Next up could be Mechanized Assault or Zerring Artillery Barrage. Both, I think, are pretty good for various reasons. Zerring Artillery Barrage is, like, really good. And, I mean, Mechanized Assault is also really good. So it's just, the question is, which really good ability does he wish to utilize here versus Stephenn? As for Stephenn, we got the Hellcat, we got the EC-8, we got mines being laid down there. Thumbs up. I would not be surprised to end up seeing more Hellcats yet of Stephenn. South here, machine getting hammered by American mortar fire there. Flares out there of Fortune's mortar and detecting our veteran 2. Thumbs up to that. Rival squad being burnt out on the premises. Got 156 with 388. Fortune, I think, needs to pick up the pace a bit, which may just happen now that he's brought up a second Panther. Which is definitely where things are going to get a bit challenging here for Stephenn. Because the Panthers do have a good amount of frontal armor, reflecting they had 80mm of slope frontal armor, which is fairly tough here. Could shrug off a lot of types of fire there. EC-8, they're getting absolutely pumped here, but the Panthers almost got it being got focused fire here. There's a good chance that this team's going to lose the EC-8 unless he's got absolutely insane luck. And no, he did not. The EC-8 is kaput. Clearly not operated by Brad Pitt. At least he was out now on a break. Oh my god, they got Brad Pitt. They got who? Mr. Pitt, you're alive. Yeah, I was on the toilet. Oh. And saying there's the Panther shots there. Gonna struggle with the mighty frontal arm of the Panther as it can actually strike off stuff here in company heroes too. Of 3, I mean, unlike companies 2. I was trying to say there. Missed up the order there. But yeah, Panther frontal armor and company 3 is pretty good. Pretty good. Of course, the side armor is pretty weak as it was in the Panther, and Panther commanders were pretty much instructed to always have the front towards the enemy. As was basically, on earlier Panthers, things like somewhere between 20 to 25 millimeters, but on later models would be 30, but a bit less sloped. That was mostly to make it easier to build them, as they're also making the Yak Panther model, and so to simplify our production, they just went for a slightly flatter but slightly thicker side armor. Fun fact. Jaeger's about to get wiped out there. In the south, we got the Panthers going for the Rifle Squad here. He's at least brought up more Pioneers here to assist repairing all these Panthers. Rifle Squad are being pummeled with heavy fire from the Panthers, the main guns, the machine guns. Also got the Searing Artillery Barrage. Interesting choice there. Most players nowadays go for Mechanized Assault. It's not because this is bad, it's actually quite good, but just having your tanks automatically repair while infantry nearby gets buffed is pretty good for an ability. Pretty darn good. Now the question is, go for the Starstruppen Assault Package, or does it go for the Vesper? I'd say both have the merits. Panthers pushing through the center here. Hellcat there does get a shot for the Panther front armor, as it does have the gunnage for that. Rifle Squad, meanwhile, is getting absolutely saving Proud Ryan out in the open as the flank guns. Vetty 2 there. Might actually be able to get to Vetty 3. The south here, the Stephenn exploits the heavy focus on the center from Fortune to push the south. North side of the map, I mean, is pretty much just all American. And I think this is part, again, where Fortune is slightly being punished for just not having a lot of infantry. Can't really exert map control against Stephenn and all his riflemen as the match goes on. Here we got a Sherman weather for Stephenn. No attempt to hold up for another EC8. He goes for the assault package. Possibly because he's planning to go for them. But it's also just not possibly just figured, like, you know, he just doesn't want to accidentally press on the Vesper and call that in by accident. That is a plausible theory, though. I mean, against all the stuff he Stephenn has, Vesper could be a nice idea. But yeah, there has been a slight surge in players going for Mechanized as of late with the Wehrmacht, but definitely not in the same way here that Fortune has. There you go, Sherman ready. Mentioned 1 because of armor. Of course, we've got the air support center. Not seeing so much usage anymore here for Stephenn, but that can, of course, rapidly change since it's Stephenn. Panther serves as a damage engine. We got 82 as a 388. South here, machine gun as the engineers here, but getting flanked here by the Rifle Squad. We got the Martyr there just completely forgotten here by Fortune. Now the Jaeger Squad. Crucial to bring up more infantry, of course. Of course, he could try and, you know, tag out for some Starstruppen, but again, I don't think he's going to go for that. He goes here for the the Flak 30 here. Pulling in a bombing run here and wipes the Flak Crow here. MD4 to the ace level, getting flanked with the Sherman. Stephenn goes in hard here. Panther being fixed up. Other Panther pushes forward. See him mortifying the Rifle Squad here from the Grenadier Alpha, which is halfway to the ace level. Good golly. Meanwhile, Panther's pushing for the EC, and there's the Vetsny 2 Panther. Good shot here. Shot flies off an angle here for the Panther's frontal armor. Hellcat, they're going for the flank here. We've also got the anti-tank setting up here. Rifle Squad, they're playing the flak gun from being crude here. Hellcat going for it. Panther heavily damaged. We got focused fire, increasing rate of fire. Shoots, misses the Hellcat there. Rifle Squad, they almost right with the mortar. So close the ace on that one, but Fortune is also dangling with his arse above the waterline here, as we say in Danish. And mortar wiped. Excellent kill there for Stephenn. But yeah, Stephenn is, I think, definitely on the infantry side here. Mortar wiped out the Rifle Squad here. Really good push there by Stephenn. A really good push. Thumbs up. Panther pushing forwards here. Shots flying there for the frontal armor. Here we got 67 versus 86 here. The situation for Fortune is starting to rapidly collapse. He's trying his best here to push back the front line against Stephenn. His Panther's definitely landing some hits here for Zafazaland. Grenade off though. He needs more Pioneers as well. He needs pretty much more everything. He's also... yeah, there's just not a lot left here for Fortune as the thing goes on. And meanwhile, Stephenn just got plenty of infantry and he's bringing even more Hellcats to match the Panthers. And the Martyr still has been forgotten here by Fortune. Like, imagine if they actually got that fixed up to support against all these Hellcats. I think that'd do Fortune a lot of good. But alas, the Martyr's just sort of cooking on the end there. I'm fairly certain at this stage, the crew isn't like already passed out from all that, you know, carbon monoxide. They, you know, probably not going to have long to live after the war due to all the stuff that went to the lungs. Jaegers arrive at the Ralph squad, closing on MT3. Jaegers here by the northern beach point. Jaegers being trapped with the Ralph squad, ace level bars versus just D40 face and non-veteran. Again, this is where I might maybe hang this one would have been helpful there in the long run. Jaegers about to get wiped out. I think that's air recons here from Stephenn, yeah. Black gun there, just lying in the open. Panther's being fixed up. Looks like he's finally going to repair that mortar. We got 67 aim. Fortune has managed to hold out here against Stephenn and the 3rd Infantry Division.
Enemy forces have claimed our territory.
Stephenn, of course, got his 2nd Hellcat ready. Straight into him on with the Panther just after all that time spent fixing up there. The engine is already knocked out. And the Jaegers, oh, he wasn't paying attention. That's going to cost them the Jaegers. At least they didn't drop the Panther. North Infantry Rifle Squad here, point blank range. It is not pretty here for the riflemen. It is not pretty at all. Good chance they're going to get wiped in retreat, actually. As Stephenn gets lucky. Meanwhile, Panther heavily damaged. Marder there is fixed up. Needs to get moved up to the front line here. Yeah, he was probably hoping over the Pioneers. You can't blame him for that, but yeah. But now, probably best not to focus too much on them. You definitely need more infantry. Got some hair finding for the smoke there. They got focus fire again. He's actually like, I think, one of the few players to make consistent use of the ability as the Wehrmacht, which is 2 thumbs up worthy. It's like a pretty good ability, but you know, it's a timed ability, and most players tend to be less good with those. Particularly in the tanks. But there you go. 1 Panther down, the other one's close there. We got 51 versus 371 here. Looks like the situation is looking like a loss, and he's just not doing anything with the Marder. Unfortunately, imagine that Marder been there once those Hellcats came racing in.
Our enemy has control over all victory points. The enemy is stealing our territory from us.
Yeah, Stephenn there is impressed by Fortune and Fortune handling. It has been really good, so you know. Thumbs up to Fortune handling those MG42s. They're all just, you know, 2 thumbs up and a pretty different Wehrmacht build, honestly. Definitely not the average sort of say Wehrmacht build there, so that's really nice work here by Fortune. Definitely defends. It demands commendation, and he's like, I think overall pretty close to pulling it off here, but we're just going to hold here, so GG, game over. Close, but just not enough here for Fortune versus Stephenn. Again, part of it I think was just the lack of infantry, like only later on do you actually have, like, for example, 3 Jaeger squads. I think you should have probably brought in some infantry sooner, maybe some more Jaegers earlier, or again, maybe just bitten the bullet gold for the other Stu call in here, which would delay the Panthers, would allow some Panthers and the Stu Ds. That might have been an option there, or even like at some point taking up for the Starstorm. Something I think they would have, I think, done Fortune a bit of good here versus Stephenn in terms of just like bringing in the infantry. Still, also, I think just playing a bit more to the other parts of the map, this I think is one of the things Stephenn excels at. Like, he never gets like zoomed in on just one part of the map. He's very good at keeping the entire map in his mind and constantly shifting focus, so he never gets bogged down into, like, you know, these kind of slog fights, and that I think is a really important skill, which I think Stephenn really highlighted here. I mean, Fortune wasn't quite, you know, all that either, but at times he did, I think, get too focused on the center, and that was something I think Stephenn was able to, like, rapidly capitalize on every time, in part because he also had more infantry. So I think those are some important elements to keep in mind there while playing a game like Company 3. Still, very interesting fight here with some excellent play from both sides, so 2 thumbs up to both players. And thanks to my viewers who also get 2 thumbs up for watching. Hope you all enjoyed and had some fun. If you can always subscribe and like this video. Helps get the video out to more people. And as you know, support the Propagandacast by donating our pledge on Patreon. Links in the description. Or buying the game if you haven't bought it. Well, link in the comments. Cheers everyone, and see you all tomorrow for another stunning video. Cheers everyone.